Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little different again on our What the Deck. We're going to do a commander deck of mine that we played with on a previous video. Hopefully you guys saw that. It should have dropped on Monday. So I figure I'll show you guys my deck, which is Zhulodok, Void Gorger. It's a legendary creature, Eldrazi 7/4. Colorless spells you cast from your hand with mana value 7 or greater. Have Cascade, which means you'll cascade into some other pretty decent creatures or spells or whatever have you. So I figure we'll go ahead and show you guys the deck. We're going to start off with the Planeswalkers. And we're starting off with Ugin the Ineffable. And then I play Ugin Eye of Storms, which is the new Ugin. And if you notice, this is the new blip. And I like having it on the chibi side or the small side. And then we play Karn Liberated. Helps us exile some permanents, return target player exiling from their hands and stuff like that. Ugin the Spirit Dragon is always an include on any kind of colorless deck because you can exile each permanent for however much loyalty you decide to pump into it. That's one or more colors. And then we'll get into the creatures. The only other, before I get into the creatures, the only other colorless Planeswalkers, obviously, that I haven't used is a couple of the Karns, which don't really work for my style for this deck. And then there's the new Tezzeret, and he really don't do a whole lot for this deck either, other than possibly search me out a Soul Ring or something like that. So we only run those four, mainly because I love Ugin. He is actually the sleeves for the deck. And then the original Karn to help us exiling stuff. So now getting into the creatures, we play the Wandering Archaic. I usually do not play it for the other side, which is the sorcery side for 3. I just seem to never really need that side compared to throwing this one out. And, you know, getting some casts of some other stuff. Then we got Emrakul, the Promised End, because we cannot use the more fun Emrakul, in my opinion, at least for this style of deck, which is banned. But here at the house, we don't really care if you play a banned card or two, or we really don't care if you play proxies. So every now and then I'll throw the other Emrakul in here and she'll get to see a little bit of play. But this is the Promised End at least, so it does help us mess with some people on their turns, kind of like a Mind Slaver. And we got Sire of Seven Deaths, who is just keyword soup with Ward 7. He is fantastic. Endbringer, another great Eldrazi creature that lets me draw cards and such. Conduit of Ruin helps me search out some stuff if I need to throw it in my hand or want something very, very specific to throw into my hand to cast for the next turn. Then we play all the Titans minus the Aeon's Torn. We got Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, which draws your hand back up by 4 cards. He has Annihilator 4. And he gets to shuffle your graveyard back into your library if he goes there for any reason. Then Kozilek the Great Distortion also replenishes your hand and lets you counterspell as long as you've got the equal mana value for X. So if they play something for 2 mana value and you've got a 2 in your hand, you can discard it and go from there. It that Heralds the End, one of the newer ones. Make sure we get our other colorless +1/+1. And our mana value 7 or greater cost 1 less, so it isn't Lord for the creatures. Ulamog the Infinite Gyre, also another great Annihilator, 10/10. Gets shuffled back in, indestructible, and destroys some stuff. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, and when he comes out, he obviously destroys 2 target permanents. I do believe they're just permanents, yeah, just target permanents. And then when he attacks, they got to put the top 20 cards of their library into their graveyard. Which again, oh no, they exile, I'm sorry. It exiles the top 20 cards. So which is also fantastic when you're just trying to swing with a big creature and make sure you get rid of their stuff. Then we play an Oblivion Sour. Lets you steal a land or 2 to help ramp yourself. Emrakul the World Anew. So this is the other newer Emrakul. This is actually the newest of the 3. And when you cast a spell, gain control of all creatures that target player controls, which is fantastic. you can play it for 6 colorless if you do end up discarding it for its madness cost. But, you know, when this leaves the battlefield, you sacrifice all creatures, so there is a downside. And I play a Summon Bahamut. It's a 9-drop, 9/9 Saga Dragon. So this is a newer one from Final Fantasy. And it lets me destroy a couple things, draw some cards, and then deals damage equal to the mana value of all my permanents to each opponent. So, all other permanents. So I don't even think it's the ones I control. So if there's like 40 mana value on the field, I'm dealing 40 to each opponent if I can get that to the 4. And then I play a Reality Smasher to trample haste 5/5. And if he becomes the target of a spell, counter it. Unless its controller discards a card. So it can force them to discard down. And then we play Ulamog the Defiler, which is another one of the Titans. It's the newest one from Modern Horizons 3. When you cast this, target opponent exiles half their library rounded up. So with this one and the other one, you know, if you play this one first, it goes half its library. Then you play the other Ulamog and find a way to attack with them quickly. Then they're exiling 20 more of their library, and they're kind of just getting really low on resources at that point. And then I play a Megatron, which is a Blightsteel Colossus, which I like to pair with one of the artifacts in this deck, which is Blade of Self. So if I'm playing in a 4-player game, he will attack and he'll make copies of each. And then if I can hit everybody for Infect 11, that's the game right off the bat. I play one copy. Well, there's one copy of everything. I don't know why I said that. Of Metalworker. So it lets me show the artifacts in my hand to gain some extra mana, which is very, very helpful when you look at the cost of some of these creatures and spells. It That Betrays, Annihilator 2, 11/11. And whenever an opponent sacks a permanent, I get to put it on the battlefield under my control. So say they sack one of their lands to go search out another land, I'll get that land. And then I can sacrifice it and go get my own land. Then I play a Liberator Urza's Battlethopter. This just lets me play my colorless and artifacts as though they had flash. So this is like a Vidalcan Orrery for the deck itself without having a Vidalcan Orrery in the deck. I don't have one in it right now, but I have been debating on putting one in here. So leave me a comment and let me know what you think after you finish this profile and see if you think I might need one. Then a Void Winnower. This one obviously is the textless one, but it essentially says that my opponents can't play even converted mana cost spells and block with creatures with even converted mana cost. So it's a kind of a control creature. And then we got a Kozilek the Broken Reality, which is the one from Modern Horizons 3. This is kind of like the worst of the 3, but it's still fantastic because I like it for giving my other colorless creatures +3/+2. This is the Ultima. I can't remember exactly what it says. Obviously, it's in Japanese, so somewhere over in here, I'll put a picture of it in English, but this one is mainly in the deck because if I tap a permanent, I think it's just a permanent for colorless, it'll add an additional colorless mana, kind of like the Forsaken Monument does for the deck itself as well. And then our final creature we play is Thought Knight Seer. And this just takes something out of somebody's hand. Early game, it's pretty easy for this deck to get into 4 mana, so that's all the planeswalkers and creatures. And we'll get into the sorceries. So the first sorcery I play is Introduction to Prophecy, which lets me scry 2, then draw a card. So this helps me see what's coming and see what I need to get a hold of. And then All is Dust, which makes each player sacrifice all permanents they control that are 1 or more colors. This whole deck has 0 colors, so this will get rid of everybody else's stuff while my stuff will stay safe. Then I play a Calamity of the Titans, which exiles a creature or planeswalker with mana value smaller than the revealed creature. Another good spot removal card, because colorless doesn't have a lot of instants and sorceries, so you kind of got to make sure you got the really good ones in there. And then the high cost is Rise of the Eldrazi. which is basically all three of the original Eldrazi, Ulamog, Kozilek, and Emrakul, with their main ability on here to be able to use, so the spell can't be countered. You get to destroy a permanent, draw 4 cards because of the Kozilek, and destroying a permanent's Ulamog, and then with the Emrakul ability, you take an extra turn after this one. So you get some of the Aeon's Torn's ability without having the Aeon's Torn in your deck itself. And then we'll get into the instance. So we play an Eldrazi Immunity, which is kind of like a Vandal Blast and all those other ones with Overlord. So you can give all of your creatures protection from each color if you need to, as long as you got the 5 mana, one being a proper colorless. And then that saves your board as well. We got a Not of This World. It's a 7-drop. Lets you counter a spell or ability that targets a permanent you control. And if you control a creature with 7 or greater power, this becomes free. And then I got a Titan's Presence. You got to reveal a creature card, a colorless creature card from my hand. You get to exile a creature with power less than the equal. So you just make sure you exile one of your big creatures and get rid of almost anything on the board. I play a Null Elemental Blast from Modern Horizons 3 because it's great, because a lot of Commander games obviously have multicolored spells, so it lets you counter that spell or destroy a permanent that's multicolored. And then I play a Warping Whale, which has 3 different abilities. Lets you choose one. You just pay 1 and a colorless. You can either exile a creature with power or toughness 1, counter target sorcery spell, or make a little Scion to give yourself a little boost in mana for a second there. And then the final instant I play is Scour from Existence, which just for exiles any permanent on the field that you want to get rid of. And then I do play 2 enchantments in this deck. They're both colorless, obviously. So the first one I play is Eldrazi Conscription, which gives something +10/+10, Trample, and Annihilator 2. If you watched the video, you'll see this card come in very handy to help with the game. And then the final enchantment is the Echoes of Eternity. So if a triggered ability of a colorless spell I control or another colorless permanent I control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. And then whenever I cast a colorless spell, I can copy it. And now we'll get into how we get all of the mana to get these spells, which is in the artifacts themselves, and a couple little tricks in here. So first one I'm going to show you is Thran Dynamo. It's a 4-drop, and you can tap to add 3 colorless. And then an Golem's Eye. Each one of these altars is done by me, so that's why they're in the deck, because I just like painting on my own cards sometimes. So this one gives me 2 mana for 4. Yeah, it's a little higher than I'd like, but it still is pretty good because getting it out early is a great thing. Then we play Forsaken Monument, which is a major component to getting our mana faster because it gives colorless creatures +2/+2 on my side. But as long as I tap a permanent for colorless, it adds an additional colorless. So it's this plus the Ultima, which is the Ultima Weapon or Ultima something. Like I said, I'll look it up and put it on the screen. It'll give me an additional 2 off of just tapping 1. And then I can gain some life off it as well. And then I play, here's the Blade of Selves I brought up, but that gives Myriad to my Blight Seal. So I can try to hit everybody at one time. And then I play a Mystic Forge, which lets me look at the top card of my library anytime, cast colorless and artifact spells from the top, and then exile the top card if I don't really need it. And then a Swiftfoot Boots to try to help some of my creatures stay alive from being targeted, or just to give haste to try to win a game faster. And then I play a Howling Mine. That's a little help for everybody at the table, but it also, again, gives me some extra card draw so I can get into my stuff faster. And then I play my Grim Monolith, which obviously has the downside of it doesn't untap during your untap phase, but for 2 to get 3 for the next turn, you might have to leave it tapped for a while, but that'll help you get into maybe my commander on turn 3 if I can get a couple of these out at one time. Then Stone Speaker Crystal, again, it's 4 mana for 2 extra. The other part isn't really a big deal. I don't usually exile any number of target players' graveyards, but sometimes it's nice to do it, especially if you're playing against a graveyard recursion deck. Then I play a Darksteel Monolith, which lets me play any colorless spell once per turn for free. So if I want to play, say, the 13-drop Emrakul, well, I can play that for free and then still have plenty of mana to do some other shenanigans throughout the turn. And then I play 1 Mana Vault. I miss Mana Crypt because that was a lot more helpful, but not up to me. It's banned right now, so I don't keep it in the deck unless we're playing a no-ban list deck. And then I got a Mind Stone, which does let me draw some cards if I sacrifice it, or if I don't need it at the time. That's just an extra colorless mana. I play a Chromatic Orrery because it does give me 5 colorless. It does say you can use the mana as any color, but getting 5 colorless off this is fantastic if I can get this out for free off maybe a Cascade from my commander or some other way to get it out there. Then I play an Eternity Elevator. Again, it's just a lot more mana. And getting this final ability, if I really needed to, is not hard to get 20 plus because there's plenty of big power creatures on the field from my side. Then I play a Dominion Bracelet. I grabbed this card mainly because it looks like the dude from My Hero Academia, but also the 15 cost right here is not that hard to do because it is X less over that creature's power. So if I put this on Emrakul, that's 13 less. So this would only cost me 2 to do the ability. Then I play an Expedition Map to go find any land I need. Usually I use these for one of the Tron lands because I do play all 3 of the Tron lands in this deck. And then I play a Commander's Plate, mainly because it's an equip cost for 3 for my commander, which is cheap. It's a 1-drop, so I can get to turn 1, but it gives my creature protection from each color that's not in its identity. Well, it's a colorless commander, so he'll have protection from all 5 colors. And then I play a Chaos Wand. This one is mainly in the deck, again, because we don't have a lot of options for colorless spells like instants and sorceries, so it lets me play my opponent's ones instead. Then I like to play in a Chroma's Memorial. If I can get it out there, if I got a good board, all my creatures having flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and protection from black and red is always nice because somewhere someone's always got a black or a red card in the pods that at least I play in. And then I play a Basalt Monolith, another one that can go infinite with itself as long as I've got, say, a Chromatic Orrery or the ultimate out, so it'll always net me 1 mana. But I got to be able to at least do that before. Otherwise, it can untap itself randomly just to annoy people. And Urza's Incubator to make my Eldrazi's 2 less, because that's the only creatures that I care about in this deck. I play a Sisay's Ring, which is just a more expensive Soul Ring. And then, like normal, I play a Soul Ring, because until it gets banned, I'm going to put this in every deck. I don't think it should be banned, but that's just my opinion. And I like to play an Ugin's Nexus. This does sound kind of like it's a non-combo, but there is a way to make this, like make a copy of this, and then get rid of it while there's an extra turn on the stack, and it goes with the Emrakul. So you can take infinite turns with this card, plus I believe there's another one in here. I'd have to look to see which one it was. And if I took it out, I need to make sure I take this one out. So I'll put that up here as well, like in the corner by the hand to show you the cards that go together to make the combo. Then I play a Whisper Silk Cloak to give my commander or something else, usually Shroud, and unblockable. Then a Quicksilver Amulet to just throw a big creature out on somebody's turn. I don't get the cast trigger off of them, but it's still nice to have a big blocker out there. And then if I can bounce that creature back to my hand and cast it for its ability later, that's always nice as well. And then our final artifact is Portal to Phyrexia, which is a 9-drop, which does trigger our commander, but it also makes your opponent sacrifice 3 creatures, and then lets me pull creatures back from my graveyard and put them back on the battlefield, and makes it a Phyrexian. So that is all the creatures, instant sorceries, enchantments, and artifacts. And then we got a big old stack of lands that we play for this deck. I don't play any basic wastes because I like to have either abilities or I found just a pretty card that I wanted to put in here. So we have an Echoing Deeps, which can become a target or a copy of any other land in a graveyard. So say my strip mine or something gets destroyed, well, or I sacrifice it, this can become the copy of that, so I can at least get a little spot removal off of it. Play an Urza's Workshop to go with all the other Urza lands, because it does count itself, and it'll give me more mana if I have 3 or more artifacts, which is usually pretty easy in this deck. Then the Urza's Power Plant, which is add 1, but if I have all 3 of the Urza's Power Plant, Urza's Tower, or Urza's Mine, obviously you get +2 off of this one. We play the Mine, which does the same thing, gives us 2 instead of 1. And then the Tower, which can give us 3 instead of 1. And then there's another card I like to play with those to help, especially if I've got like the 3 of them out, or at least if I got Expedition Map out, I can go search this out pretty quick. And I play a Planar Nexus, which is every non-basic land type. So say this is on my first turn, and my second turn I play like an Urza's Tower. Well, because of the ability of this, it's all based on non-basic land types. My Urza's Tower will now tap for 3 because it counts as a Urza's Mine and an Urza's Power Plant. And then I play an Urza's Cave, which is another Urza's land, which gives me the ability to search out one, or because of the Urza's, I think, factory, it can also tap for extra mana. The factory can tap for extra mana because it is an Urza's land. And then I play a Sanctum of Ugin, because it gets me some other stuff if I need to. I play an Ancient Tomb, because getting 2 mana on the first turn is always nice. I play a Desert. Not really any reason why, other than I liked the art. Play a Bonder's Enclave, which will let me draw some cards if I have the extra mana laying around. I play a Ghost Quarter, because I like every now and then to throw a little bit of spot land removal, and there's a couple of them in this deck that do that. So there's my Ghost Quarter. And then a Homeward Path, just in case somebody is playing theft decks, I get my stuff back instead of them keeping it. I play a Scoured Ruins, because sometimes sacrificing 2 lands to get 4 is way more worth it than just having those other 2 lands out there. I play an Eye of Ugin, which makes my Eldrazi's cheaper. So any kind of reduction on an Eldrazi is always fantastic. So make sure you've got a copy of that in any colorless Eldrazi deck that you play. Play a Thespian Stage to help make copies of lands. Like say I've got my Urza lands out and they're all online. Then this can be another tower. So it would tap for 3 as well. Play a Treasure Vault, which if I'm just overloaded on mana, I can make a bunch of treasure tokens for the fun of it. Or it's a sack outlet to use for another land that I might need, like the Scorched Ruins. I play a Dust Bowl, which is a destruction of land. Play a Crystal Vein, because it can give you 2 mana if you sacrifice it right off the bat, so it can also help you get into those big spells faster. A Deserted Temple, which lets me untap some lands, which is nice. Play a Vesuva for the same reason as the Thespian Stage. Just lets me copy into like towers and other kind of stuff like that taps for multiple mana. I play a Reliquary Tower, because there is a few cards that let me draw, and I don't like discarding unless I have to. There's a Strip Mine, another spot removal land destruction. I play a War Room, because you can pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity and draw a card. Well, I just pay 3 and draw a card because he's got no colors. A Winding Canyons, which I can play stuff at instant speed, like creature cards at instant speed with the second ability on the card. I play a Cloud Post. And the only reason I play a Cloud Post is because I do play a Glimmer Post. And with these, and also that Planar Nexus being all non-basic land types, this will gain me some life if I've got a couple of them out. And this one adds a couple extra mana, so it's nice to have. Obviously, I play an Eldrazi Temple because you do need this card. And I play a Mycosynth Gardens because it can become a copy of target non-artifact, and I can just use it for something else if I need to. Demolition Field, another spot removal that at least gives them a basic land back. Wasteland, again, non-basic spot removal. I use this for stuff like Gaia's Cradle and other things that just gives somebody a lot of mana, or say they're playing Crystal Quarry and they're playing a 5-color deck. Well, you can get rid of that to at least keep them from being able to get too awful much. I play a Command Beacon because I like to throw my commander back in my hand. And the final card for the deck is an Ugin's Labyrinth, which when this comes into play, you can exile a colorless card with mana value 7 or greater from your hand, and then tap it for 2 mana instead, and then at any time you can put that card back into your hand, and then this just taps for 1 mana. So that is my Zhulodok deck, Eldrazi's. I hope you like the deck. I hope you enjoyed watching my What the Deck videos, and I do believe the next video we're going to do is my Liliana deck, and then after that, for the What the Deck series, I think I'll do some more Pauper decks, or I'll continue to do more Commander decks, depending on what you guys might want to see. So make sure you like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I don't know if it does anything yet, and also leave me comments. Let me know what you want to see, if you want to see a different kind of gameplay. So thank you guys very much for joining me, and as always, game on.